Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
You gotta admit, whether you like the man's politics or not, that was a pretty good rendition of Amazing Grace at the funeral for slain South Carolina State Senator Clementa Pinckney, also a good friend of the president's. Joining me right now is Carolyn Rossi Copeland, executive producer of Amazing Grace, the Broadway musical. Caroline, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll talk about the play in a second, but first I wanted to get your reaction when you heard the president singing the song there, because you know so much about the history of the song itself.
Well, it was the most appropriate hymn at that moment to eulogize a man that was taken in such a horrible way. And I'm just, I'm thrilled that people are learning the story behind the hymn. It's a fantastic part of our history that we know nothing about.
All right, we have a portion of a promotional video about your musical, and let's take a listen to that.
The song the world knows, the story it doesn't.
Okay, so we're talking about the story here. The song itself was written by a man named John Newton. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Newton.
Well, John Newton was a horrific slave trader born into a family of slave traders, and through a series of events was eventually enslaved himself in Africa by a princess, Princess Pia, and he served her in Sierra Leone, and he was able to escape. And on his escape back to England, there was a horrible storm, and he prayed out to God that if God would save him, he would turn his hands to good. And he did that. He got back to England. He married his childhood sweetheart, who prayed for him for years to turn away from the horrors of the life that he had been living. And he began a church, and he served his congregation, and late in his life he wrote that beautiful hymn, Amazing Grace. It is the story of his journey. He was the wretch that he writes about, and then of course went on to begin the abolitionist movement, and was alive to find that the abolitionist movement would be put before Parliament.
Now you obviously
He's a great hero.
You obviously have been paying close attention this long before the president sang the song here. But in the wake of that, it could be very beneficial for a lot of folks, and for you as well. Time magazine also writing about the man John Newton, the author of Amazing Grace. Quote, Amazing Grace was written by an Englishman who in the early part of his life was an outspoken atheist, libertine, and slave trader.
Yes.
He was enlisted in the slave trading, running captured slaves from Africa to, ironically enough, Charleston, South Carolina, after he rode out a storm in 1798. So there are a lot of corollaries here, and that might have been lost on a lot of America when the president sang this at the funeral.
Yes, and that is, you know, we started working on this show in 2008, and we did it in 2011 in Goodspeed and last year in Chicago. So we've been wanting this story to come out to the world because it is true. This story needs to be told, and on the Broadway stage is the place that we chose to tell it. And I'm thrilled that Americans and internationally John Newton's name will be lifted up. He was a great hero for us, and a great hero for all people, because he really did begin the end of slavery in this country.
All right, last question for you with about 30 seconds left to go. Why do you think that song gives me chills and gives everybody chills when they hear it, no matter who sings it?
Because we're all a little lost. You know, no matter how well you think you're living your life, you're a little lost, and we all need redemption, and we all look for hope every day of our lives. We're looking for hope to move forward and clean up the little messes we make along the way. We're all in need of that kind of hope that the song speaks of.
An excellent way to wrap this up. I mean, I think, you know, no matter what your politics are about all the stuff going on around the Charleston shooting, the Confederate flag, we can all agree we are a little bit of a wretch sometimes, and we do need some help.
Yes, and we all need grace.
Yes, we do need grace. There is no, there could be a lot more grace in this world. Carolyn, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
The play is on Broadway. Everybody should check it out, and I will hopefully get to check it out as well. Before we go to break, we have a special offer for our Newsmax audience. Newsmax wants to send a One lucky couple on a 7-day Silver Sea cruise to the Caribbean this winter. The luxury cruise aboard the Silver Wind is the trip of a lifetime. To win, all you need to do is enter our sweepstakes. Visit newsmax.com/sweepstakes to enter. You can do it right now. Again, that's newsmax.com/sweepstakes. Man, we could all use a Caribbean cruise. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to take a look at some headlines making news around the world. That failed Iranian deal now, the deadline pushed back. Also, a huge airplane crash in Indonesia killing dozens. A C-130, a military aircraft crashing down in the streets there. Some dramatic video. All that to come right here on Newsmax Now, right after this short commercial break.